If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back, civilians, to the home of elevation, growth, and experience. Some of you may know, some of you may not know, I am the civilized woman. Welcome back, civilians. Now, y'all know I told y'all either yesterday, no, day before, that I was going to come back with more on this Shannon Sharpe story. Well, I was minding my business being nosy on YouTube, right? And I saw, a couple of things come up about Shaq possibly allegedly being behind all of Shannon Sharpe's spot being blown up and having all this stuff hit the fan, right? So I have remembered that last year they had a little beef over the MVP award that was given in basketball to Nikola Jovic last year. So I'm just a short recap, and then I'm gonna actually go deeper into the beef. So it all began when Shaq suggested, that somebody else should have gotten the MVP award instead of Nikola, right? So Shannon on the nightcap with Chad Ochocinco, he criticized Shaq's comment, and that led to like a back and forth between them. So in the interview with Djokovic, so Shaq was actually talking to Djokovic. He expressed that he believed this other player deserved the MVP award over Djokovic. Shannon's response on the nightcap was he disagreed with Shaq's assessment and suggested that Shaq might be envious of Djokovic's multiple MVP wins. So it escalates. Shaq responds to Shannon's comments with a diss track. Further escalating the situation, the diss track included lyrics about Shannon's career and his podcast. The two continued to engage in the public disagreement, with Shannon also responding to Shaq's diss track. Now, all of this has come to a head because there's a suggestion that there may be possible sabotage because Becky with the good hair, aka Matt Barnes, shout out to Kwame Brown. That's part of why that man called you Becky with the good hair, Matt, because you talk too much. You talk too much, man. You never shut up. Why are you talking, sir? That's part of why. So we're going to go a little deeper, and then I'm going to tell y'all what I found out, because I'm thinking this beef was from last year. Well, baby, based on what I found out while I was minding my business, being nosy on YouTube, is that this may have possibly been from 1998. So let me go ahead and recap the beef between them. And then I'm going to get with the Matt recording. And then I'm going to let y'all know what I found out about the fact that it may have been from way back when. So to unpack the beef, right? Shaq landed the final blow with this diss track aimed at Shannon, but it looks like the sports legends, don't want to be left out of the rap. So, we had the rap beef between Kendrick and Drake, and I guess Shaq and Shannon decided to throw their head in the ring as well to be a part of this, but in the space of 3 days, these two prominent sports figures in their respective sports, football and basketball, and in sports media, began feuding. It all started when Shannon criticized Shaq on his podcast, and Shaq responded on Instagram. But is there really animosity between these two sportsmen? Well, child, according to what I heard, there may be. Or is this just for show? On the surface, it may have looked like it was just for show, but y'all, maybe not so much. So this is back in May of 2024. Shaq and his team on TNT Inside the NBA, announced that Nikola had won the MVP for the third time in 4 years. After reviewing several of Nikolavic's stats, EJ, that's Ernie Johnson, who's the host, asked Shaq his opinion. Shaq prominently expressed his dissatisfaction with the voting results. He also suggested that Oklahoma City Thunder guard Shai Alexander should have won instead. Shaq goes on to say, "Congrats to Joker. You are the best big man in the league, but I thought Shai Alexander deserved it," quote unquote. He said, moments later, Djokovic joined the show and Shaq spoke with the newly crowned MVP. While he praised Djokovic, he reiterated his perspective on who he felt deserved the title. Joker, as the president of the Big Man Alliance, "You are the vice president of the Big Man Alliance. You know I love you," Shaq said. "The best player in the league, I want to congratulate you, but I want you to hear it from me first. I thought that GSA, that Shia, should have won MVP. There's no disrespect to you, but congratulations." Djokovic took Shaq's opinion in stride, even chuckled. He even cracked a joke himself amid the conversation, and all was well and good until Shannon Sharpe joined the conversation. So Shannon, gives his feedback on this response, and Loki Hockey accuses Shaq of being a little bit jealous of Nokola. So the following day on the new episode of the Nightcap podcast, Shannon was discussing the MVP results and called Shaq envious. He then suggested that Shaq had acted out of jealousy since, according to Sharpe, that's Shannon, he isn't among the NBA greatest. Quote, here comes a quote from Shannon. "I think a part of Shaq, he might not ever admit this, but Shaq sees these guys win these MVPs and is a little envious." Shannon says, "I understand that Shaq got 4 titles and he has 3 finals MVP, but Shaq knows deep down we should be having the discussion for GOAT, that's greatest of all times. But Shaq's name is never brought up in the discussion." He says so he's trying to say when the GOAT conversation comes up, Shaq's name never comes in the picture. And I might call low-key high-key cap on that. You know what? It's possible. I know for sure when it comes to big men, Shaq's name is in the conversation, but I feel like overall Shaq's name is in the conversation as well, but I'm going to get off that. As if there weren't enough, Shannon Sharpe went on to say that Shaq robbed himself of such titles because he didn't take it seriously enough. He continued, "Shaq should have 5 MVPs. Shaq should have 7 titles, and sees a guy like Nikola Djokovic that's not as dominant as him, and he gets 3 in 4 years, and people are talking about him." Of course, Shaq is not going to take those comments lightly. Like, yeah, Shaq got petty in him, so he's not going to take that line down. So then he took to his Instagram later on Thursday night. This all happened last year, and shared an extensive response to Shannon Sharpe. So, quote, "You took me sticking up for Shai as jealousy? Shows how smart you are and how you say anything to get clicks. So here's some clickbait for you. If you ain't ranked in the top 10 in your profession, then you can't speak on me. I have it, you don't. Not in my profession. And your GOAT debate never wanted to be the GOAT. I wanted to be who you should greet me as, the most dominant player ever," he wrote. So basically, Shaq said, you ain't got enough to come at me. If basically. So soon after that, Shannon Sharpe made a response to Shaq's Instagram rant on Friday's episode of Nightcap. While he clarified that he never said he was as great as Shaq, Sharpe insisted he got where he is through his hard work and consistency. I've never professed that I was as great as Shaq, he said, but what I will say, I got what I got because I worked my A off. Now, Shaq has been the one to say it, that he didn't work as hard. And that's true, that he didn't train as hard. He didn't eat as well as he should have. Yeah, you're more famous than me. Yeah, you're more well known. You're going to have way more money than I ever had. But nobody will ever say that I was lazy or cheated myself. That's all I got for you, big boy. I ain't got nothing else for you. I ain't here to argue with you. I'm not here to debate with you. Then Shaq released a portion of his diss track aimed at Shannon Sharpe later on that day on Instagram, like 1 minute and 30-second track, which begins with a collection of sound bites. Shannon Sharpe can be heard discussing how much it bothers Shaq to have only one MVP award. He then comes for Shannon with rap lines like, Shannon Sharpe, man, you're way beneath me. Your whole demeanor is faker than new rapper Beefy. You're soft before you get fly. You rather tweet me. Now, listen, y'all know this ain't the first time that Shaq has attempted music, and I wish he would not. But you know what? We all need a little outlet outside of what our normal, what we do is, I guess, and I guess that's that he's had for a long time and just refuses to let go of. So Shaq subsequently expressed that he was done with the beef. He says, love y'all. Now I'm done with this. I'll be at the Bahamas crib with anyone if anyone needs me, he wrote. Shannon Sharpe further clarified by posting on X, formerly Twitter, that there is no animosity between him and Shaq, and just like that, it seemed that the feud between the two legends were dead. But was it though? But was it? Now, in Shannon Sharpe's defense, not only have Shaq criticized himself about not going as hard as he could have, I believe that's, if I'm not mistaken, that was part of Kobe's problem with him. That was a large part of Kobe's problem with him. Y'all know Kobe had the killer mentality, rest his soul, and he had eyes on the prize, and he would go hard. And that was one of his problems with Shaq, is that Shaq was lazy. Right? So imagine, as dominant as Shaq was, if he had put forth the effort to really go ahead and go as hard as he could have, how much better and dominant he could have been. So in Shannon's defense, not only did Shaq say that himself, Kobe has said that, and that was one of the major issues that Kobe had with Shaq, was that his work ethic, right? So on the surface, on the face, I didn't feel like Shannon was out of bounds for commenting or having that kind of observation about Shaq, right? I can see why it may seem out of left field, but on the surface, it's kind of like, he's just, he's giving his opinion, because, Shaq is looking at this man who just won the MVP and is saying, like, you my dude and all, but I don't think that you should have won this award. So I get that. So to me, no harm, no foul. Now, all of this blows up with Shannon Sharpe. And then I come across a video that Jason Whitlock did on his channel. It was a little short segment that he did about this. And he recalls a story from 1998 of where he believed the beef between Shaq and Shannon originated. So Jason gives the story, like, Jason was a longtime sports journalist, and he was largely based out of Kansas City. So that's really where he got his bones. He spent a lot of time writing about sports in that city. But he talks about being friends with, then Kansas City player Derek Thomas. And so he talks about Shaq and Shannon first having this issue and this beef starting in 1998, which was over a girl. I believe Shaq liked the girl and Shannon may have messed with her, and that's where that started. So I'm thinking they just had a little disagreement from, just from last year. But really, this could have been something. They probably got some kind of old history that started from way back when there were no social media, no nothing. And there were no way for us to really know what had gone on. Because when the thing happened last year, it seemed out of left field that these two would have beef with each other. But if what Jason Whitlock is saying is true, then this has been ongoing for a long time. Now, is this worth what everybody is saying that allegedly, according to Becky with the good hair, this recording that came out on him? Y'all, I was so irritated when I heard this recording that leaked on Matt Barnes yesterday. I was irritated because I'm like, sir, you are a man. Okay, you are a man. You're supposed to be a man. Why are you running your mouth? And then you over there talking about something, Big Dog wants us to keep it quiet. Yeah, Big Dog wants us to keep it quiet. Like, why are you talking? Why are you talking? You, Matt Barnes, are a grown man being so messy. And this is why Kwame Brown calls you Becky with the good hair, sir. This is why. Because you don't know how to keep quiet, and you got feminine energy and feminine ways about yourself. When you out here repeating something that was discussed in a group chat, which means we weren't part of the group chat. We weren't supposed to be a part of the group chat. Only certain people were supposed to be a part of the group chat, and it was supposed to stay up in there. Okay? And you have made us a part of this group chat because you talk too much. Now we are a part of this group chat because you talk too much. So recently, an audio clip surfaced of Matt Barnes claiming that Shaq is willing to put a lot of money in the streets to find information about Shannon Sharpe, to find dirt on him, allegedly. It's unclear exactly where the audio comes from. I don't think Matt Barnes have come out yet to refute it or whatever. I don't know if he's even going to come out and say anything about it. I just know it was clearly his voice, okay? And he was saying something that should have remained in that text chain, in that group chat that it was in. And I'm willing to bet that he's finna get kicked out of a lot of group chats, or there's gonna be a group chat with him in it, and then one where the other men tell the real tea, and he's not a part of it because they don't want it to be leaked. So I guess we can take it with a grain of salt, but child, I don't know. I do not know. So according to hotnewshiphop.com, right? So they're recalling what Matt says, and I heard the audio, so their recollection goes in line with what I heard from the audio. He says, this is Matt Barnes. I was in a group chat the other day, or actually just yesterday, and he's remarking about Shannon and Shaq's situation. And Shaq said he's paying top dollar for any information on our boy. Now, our boy is going to be Shannon. So again, I don't know if y'all are on that kind of time or not, but Shaq is known to throw large sums of money around. So just want to put that out there. Now, not only does Shaq have buku money, Shaq got basketball money, he got TV money, he got business venture money. So he got money all over the place. But Shaq is also a Mason. And that's very significant because Masons are a secret society. They're a brotherhood. And most importantly, they are very influential. They're in every sector of life they're in politics, they're in corporate, they are in anywhere imaginable where there's power and influence to be wielded. They are in there. So you're talking about Shaq, a man with money and connections. Those two things are very, very powerful. So if he really is, what is being alleged is true, he does have the means and the reach to be able to get dirt digged up on Shannon Sharpe or anybody else he may want to. Now, let me say this. Number one, Matt Barnes is whack for bringing stuff that was talked about in the group chat out of the group chat. No bueno, sir. That's bad business. Number two, if what they're alleging is true, I think that Shaq went too far. I'm sorry. Y'all are both making money and you're in an environment where people who look like you, are used specifically just to be tools. You're used as workers. And you're never going to fully really own anything. Like your fame, your money, essentially is all borrowed, right? And if you don't act as as the powers may be want you to act, if you don't do what they may want you to do, if you don't give up what they may want you to give up, at any moment, they can snatch from you what they feel like they have given you. So I cannot imagine even if Shaq does not respect Shannon, and Shaq had also alluded to the fact that he knows how Shannon got what he got. So basically, he don't need to be speaking on Shaq. And Shaq, it gave a tone of he doesn't respect how Shannon moves. So he don't appreciate somebody that he don't respect because of how they move, speaking on him. That's the sense I got from that statement. So all that being said, I think it's incredibly whack for you as another brother to go after your fellow brother, to take him down in this manner just because he may have took a girl from you back then, or you don't like something he did to you. Now, we don't know all the goings on. Like I said, I thought this beef was just from last year. But if what Jason Whitlock is saying, there's no telling what kind of stuff Shannon may or may not have done behind the scenes. But for me, that does not warrant Shaq going out of his way to bring this man down. There are many people who don't look like y'all that are trying to humble y'all. You don't need to be doing that to each other. And this just reminds me, a lot of times people think that white supremacy has a certain face, and they don't understand that it is a mentality and it is a mindset. So somebody who looks like you can be a white supremacist against you. And if what they're saying is true, if these allegations are true, I'm sorry, Shaq is being a white supremacist towards Shannon Sharpe. Because why would you do that? That is whack. Now, that being said, it is absolutely Shannon Sharpe's fault for there to be anything to be found if these allegations are true. If he was living the way he needed to be living, understanding that he's going to be under a microscope, because you're going to be allowed to have a certain level of power. And if you don't mind your P's and Q's, when they're ready to snatch it away from you, they will snatch it away from you, especially if they got anything over you. And I'm doing a little more digging, because word on the street is that there's been allegations and complaints about him since the 90s. So this is not even, what we are seeing now is just the tip of the iceberg. So it is Shannon's fault that there's anything to be found on him, but it's really whack if Shaq really is behind this, and it's beneath him to me if he's behind this. And it knocks a little bit of luster off of him to me if he is behind this, because this is really unnecessary. And I'm not going to get into whether or not innocent until proven guilty, right? We all know that when one allegation comes out, especially when money is involved, there isn't anything criminal. All of this is civil that's going on against Shannon, that you're going to get more and more, because when it's like blood in the water. When sharks smell blood in the water, they're going to draw. And that could be what's going on here with Shannon. But very, very much not okay if Shaq did do this, but it is absolutely Shannon's fault that there's anything to find, because really it should be that Shaq is putting forth his resources and it should be wasted, because there shouldn't be anything to find on Shannon, or he would have to go out his way to make something up, which could potentially really ruin his reputation. So I'm gonna stay on this, because I feel like we're gonna have more to come concerning this whole Shannon Sharpe deal. I'm looking forward to seeing if Matt Barnes is fitting to say anything, because I'm telling you, that definitely sounds like him. And it sounds legit, y'all. It sounds legit that Shaq may have put buku bucks, which he got lots of, behind blowing up Shannon's spot. And then maybe you're being a hit dog hollering. So maybe Shannon's comments wasn't just for clickbait, and it wasn't just out of left field. Maybe then there's validity to what Shannon is saying. If you, Shaq, felt like you needed to go this far to shut him down or put him in his place or to check him. So y'all tell me what y'all think. I want to know what y'all think about Matt Barnes, y'all, Becky with the good hair, running his mouth. I want to know what y'all think about Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal possibly being the one to have, pay money to have all of this come out by Shannon Sharpe. And I want to know what y'all think about Shannon Sharpe. Like, it's his fault do y'all agree that it's his fault that there's anything out there behind him, to find? Y'all, I feel like we're going to be talking about this some more. So I'm going to leave that there for now. Until next time. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.